There to talk about. Short discussion.
Okay, 7 o'clock. We'll get this show started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, roll call: Bob Fisher, Steve
Here.
Nicole,
Here.
and Bob Yurik's here. We're all here tonight. Minutes of prior meeting.
Make a motion that we approve the February meeting minutes as written.
I'll second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved as submitted. Clerk Treasurer's report. Nicole, you got the floor.
Here are the vouchers and then the allowance docket. I'll present the rest next meeting when it's all together and email it.
Okay.
Jared and I are still working on a few things.
All three on this one, right?
Yes.
All three here.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it. We submitted the AFR. You guys approved it, so it was posted to the newspaper and to Gateway. So
Do we have anything from town attorney?
no.
Okay. I did not see a fire report. John, police report. I saw what you emailed us, so
Yeah, nothing crazy on that. Pretty slow month, actually. February was really slow. Just had 3 accidents, kind of unusual, all in 39. So one in front of the high school and 2 up here in the 100, 200 blocks. So not a big deal. But Eric's got rifle training tomorrow. I got rifle training on Wednesday. Just to let you know, if you didn't know, along with our sidearms, we carry rifles in the car. So we partner with the Brownsburg Police Department. Got a great relationship with them. And they let us train with them for free for that type of thing. So the only thing we're out is a little bit of ammo. So it saves us a little bit of money on that. And then tomorrow on Facebook, I'll be uploading a comment on there just to get people to try to upload video and picture tips now. So the old way of reporting tips was either, telephone call or a message, an email message or something like that. But now we have the capabilities, but actually have them upload a video from their phone or a picture from their phone. And they don't have to tell us who they are or anything. It's send it up and Eric and I get notified. So it's a different way of doing things. No one really does that. So I'm going to see how it does and see if we get people to give us some tips and see where they go. So other than that, that's all I got.
okay. Building inspector report. I don't think we had any going on. Dan, did you have any updates?
Nothing as far as inspections are concerned.
Okay. Utilities report. I don't think there was anything new other than I went down to sign a couple papers for changes with the operators and stuff for them down at the lab, and I noticed they had done some redirection of the rake output. So it now goes directly in a dumpster instead of having to haul it to the dumpster. So we'll see how well that works.
So on the utility side of things, I'll report real quick. You guys are aware I had a meeting on Friday last week with regarding the Hendricks County Regional Sewer District, and they were referred to us by Commissioner Gentry And I had a meeting here with Jim Shields with Aqua and Karen Saavedra with American Structure Point. They gave me a lot of insight on how that all works. Obviously, no decisions, no nothing. They're doing some studies on the north end of the county. These are things that the commissioners are asking for, because with the development going on in the Lebanon area, they see us as a prime target for development. So they're trying to get out ahead of that in what the Hendricks County Regional Sewer District does. So here's the packages they brought. Here's one for the three of you, just for your reading pleasure. Lou, I've got a couple extras if you'd like one as well. So, yeah, again, it was just introductory. I have a better understanding of what that's all about now. So, something we can discuss further. It's not a major agenda item here. We don't want to take up a bunch of time with it, so.
And we did have, I think Nicole was aware, but so you two are aware, we had some issues with the lift station at the DOT garage, and BBC was out and made some repairs there, but we may need to have Duke evaluate the power out there to make sure there's not any issues with the incoming power. Occasionally it'll pop the incoming fuse, and then there's no reported power at the disconnect either, so just odd. And then it comes back, so they're not really sure what's going on. Town engineers report.
Good evening. You've now met Elaine Vizcaino with our company, and she's heading up the CCMG work. We've had a lot of communication with Bob Fisher between then and now, and so she wanted to make sure she came and introduced herself and get an update as to where things are. Bob, I think she printed did you get a full 11 by 17?
11 by 17 plan set. So these are the copies. This is the CCMG that are supposed to go bidding. And I sent Bob a schedule of how things should go. So this is information for bidders as well. And there's a copy of the schedule there.
Just to kind of summarize what's going on is state of Indiana and the CCMG, you know, we were passed over last year at the end of the year for the grant, but they have since gotten some additional monies, and they came to us. We were one of the first ones contacted by NDOT. Kathy McCallum reached out to me, and so I put her back in gear and got with Lou and Ling, and we're basically proceeding with a bid for the work we had planned that we didn't get funding for. I hate to say NDOT's direction, at NDOT's suggestion, we would take these bids under advisement, let them know what our bids came in, and there's a very, very high probability we will get funded. So we will get to do our last little bit of paving that we really need to do. So appreciate Ling and Lou's efforts to jump on this and get a bid ready. So this will be going out.
Yeah, so I send you copies of the advertising that I sent to the newspaper. So the first advertising goes in 2 rounds. The first one should be Thursday, the 12th, and then the next one, the 19th, next week. And then after the first advertising, I will be posting, because I gave my contact information for any interest contractors to ask for a plan set. And we should have the big opening on the 26th. The idea is to have everything ready in March, so we send as soon as possible the documents to NDOT, so it's first come, first serve.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
And
Because I talked to Carla Sheep, who is in charge of that, and she told me, yes, I hurry up, it's the first, because I wanted to make sure that, I thought at the beginning that it was going to be like an application round, special round. No, it's like you need to send that.
And they basically had to open it up to all the other unsuccessful municipalities, to be fair. but I told them, I said, you know, when we didn't get selected, we took the foot off the gas, you know, we weren't gonna proceed and engineer a project that we didn't have funding for. So appreciate your guys' efforts jumping back on this, and I think
So
we'll
I
be,
will, I send you a digital copy of the entire document, and it's not the final, but it's pretty, should be 98% final, because it's going under our QA/QC. But please look at the road segments and
Yeah.
make sure that that's what you were
And-
interested. Just
Yeah.
to be fair, I did it on aerials, like
Yeah,
no
sure.
survey, whatever. So I want to make sure that I have the segments.
the biggest thing with NDOT, it had to be exactly what we were going after last year, and it looks to be. So great job, thank you.
Were you able to include the crack ceiling like you talked
Yes.
about?
Over at Stillman.
Yes.
Note for with, you know, we rotate presidency each year. Do we need to make an official statement if Bob is willing to maintain as signatory for this type of work?
Probably
Or,
won't hurt, but
There's a resolution that you sent me, a copy of,
Mhm.
with, Bob has it's you actually. I think it's you.
It is me.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you want it to be
that's
me?
fine, because
Okay.
Or
you're,
either way, I know
Okay.
we've,
We already passed the resolution
yes.
because we needed it last time.
okay, so that's still in play?
sounds like
Okay.
it's taken care of.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that if we needed to do anything different, or with it being a new calendar year.
Yeah, and you should have enough funds, like, should be good for you and have enough money if you want to do other stuff as well.
Very good.
and just so the public's aware, it's sure handy having Bob Fisher on your council, as connected as he is with NDOT and being in the business that you're in. So it's a nice bonus for us too.
Thank you. I try. I just try to stay in my lane, let you guys do your job. So,
And I don't know if everybody knows as well that this CCMG is like, the town pays for 20% of the project only.
in the past, I mean, first time we got it was 50-50, then it went 75-25, now it's 80-20. So this is a
20.
great opportunity for us.
You guys have gotten a lot done
Yes.
under this program.
Hopefully for next round, for next year, we need to make sure, not sure if we are eligible for the next official round,
Hmm.
because you were interested in Shockley and Levi,
Yeah.
and so,
We need to, we can kind of start a new discussion, get through this, get the few major things done that we've got hanging out there, and then we can go and rub our crystal ball and say, you know, here's more maintenance activities, here's other places we can, you know, do some things. So, but we got to I think we have to get our inventory spiffed up a little bit. That's easy. So, very good. Anything else on that?
Yeah, just, I'm gonna have to update the primary immediate emergency contact list for the water. So I emailed WWOC people. I know there was a change on the water guy here just recently.
Right.
So I'm gonna try to get those contact names and stuff changed so it goes in the book. as
Okay.
Updated, so that if item comes around, we don't get dinged for that part of it.
And they had their own sign that they posted down at the plant, so.
Yeah, I went down to the plant before tonight. I did take a photo of it, and I went in and looked around at some things, because I think I owe you some discussion on some things at the plant that we need to kind of shore up a
Yeah,
little bit.
just so I feel comfortable with what was still in the scope and what we took out of scope when we had a budgetary cut
Yeah,
on,
so I'll get with you on that, and when I think the time comes, Darren Garrett from our company, who some of you may have met, some of you probably haven't, he's a certified operator, so he knows his
Okay.
way around this plant and so forth, and boots on the ground, that kind of stuff, so I'll probably have him be the hands-on.
because Sean and those guys seem to be on top of things, and they're finding things that probably should have been addressed that weren't.
Other than that, I did bring with me BS Engineering's version of an on-call agreement, because as you may or may not know, we've been working on the 2024 triad version for so many years now, and it was just, you guys approved just assigning it over. Obviously, their terms and stuff are pretty similar. There's a lot more legal beagle language in there, but it's nothing scary. At the very back are the 2026 rates, and I'm sure that's probably a point that you guys are probably most interested in. There's more categories in theirs. Bob, you can understand this because being from a firm that you're with, you know, NDOT has those for auditing purposes, various classifications and so forth. I can tell you on the engineer class 3 from the 2024 agreement, it was $195 an hour, and this one's bumped up quite substantially, although the class 2 and class 1 are both lower on the VS than they were on the triad. And then there's some additional, but you know, we'll always try when we bill anything under the on-call to be as frugal as we can, and I don't think we've ever tried to make work or scrounge work.
We deal with this very same thing, and so a couple of schools of thought, you know, there's number, you know, how you guys come up with these numbers because you may have 5 people as an engineer 1, you may have 1 project supervisor 2, you may, so you know, you blend those, then you get a rate, billing rate. I don't think I necessarily have a problem doing like a cost, you know, that way. Let's say you have something that, okay, I don't need a well-experienced, high-end guy. I can, you know, and you guys have always done that for us. I don't, you know, just, I guess it'd be a matter of seeing who's in what categories. And again, that's just good auditing.
Sure.
I get audited quite often and they say, well, this guy wasn't in the category that you used him in, you know, somewhere along the line, and we have to fix it, you know, it happens. So just for transparency, you would want to kind of see who's in, I don't care what they make individually on the hour, I just want to see who's blended in. So then when we do, you know, a task order and we have a scope, you know, you guys are going to give us scope and fee, and that way we can kind of compare it.
Okay.
Just as a good check and balance.
Absolutely. And somebody like Darren Garrett, I think he would be charged as project inspector.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. That's a fair rate. I mean, I can just look at that and tell that's a pretty fair inspector rate. I'm just saying is, you know, again, we end up in those situations where it's like, again, well, you know, I did all of it. It just was easier, but it cost us 5 times as much. You know what I mean? So we just want to be conscious of that. So please and thank you.
And I think we've always tried to be respectful of that and always will try to be. And I apologize. It's been a while since I've been in front of you. Unfortunately, as you may or may not know, there are a ton of communities that have their meetings on the same night. And if there was something that I really needed motion by the council for, you know, we're not really in the height of any projects technically at this point and didn't need it. So, but I apologize for not being close. And I did bring some candy that fell up your thing.
So my suggestion, and I would make a motion, we table this for the month, give us a little time to review it. If we have any questions, I'll reach out, Lou. Bob and Stephen, give them time to review it as well.
Okay.
And then we could act on it next month.
Okay.
With any, if we find any necessary revisions. But the language is pretty standard.
Okay.
That's acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll officially table the on-call service agreement till next meeting, so we have time to review. Do we have anything from Jared on financial advisor, anything new?
No, no.
Okay. Zoning, I guess, Dan, that's, you're up.
Awesome. Well, I just had a meeting with Mr. Myers about his addition he wants to put on, which initially when Daryl, I think he's been working on the building for them, he sent an application for ILP. And as I looked closer at it and realized, okay, they've got some issues with setbacks and everything. And then the issue became bigger because what they wanted to put up has to go through site development.
because of the size of it. What triggers it is if you're putting an addition or a new building in an industrial or a commercial area that's over 25% of what's existing there, which they were up to 46% on that building, it triggers it and makes it go to site development plan. So I went through that with him, and he already had the materials, and so we talked about it. And he's gonna probably just make a decision whether or not to scale back his building to hit that 25%. He's still gonna have setback issues, so he'll still have to come in for a variance, which was gonna lead us to our next points here. But if he continues with the site development plan process, then we have the waivers built in there, so we won't have to do BZA with that. And I told him, I said, because he's kind of I asked him about timeline, he said, well, for some reason, he has to have everything built and paid for by June. And I said, what we can do, I said, because I like to bring these to Plan Commission, I said, they are an advisory board, but I always bring site development plans to Plan Commission. And we don't have to, we only have 4 members right now, but they don't all have to be there because they're not voting on anything. So I said, what I can do is as soon as you can get me the other materials that I'm going to need on that, then I can, pretty much, I said, we wouldn't regularly meet till the 4th Monday of this month. I said, but if you decide to go that route and you get me the materials, I could possibly give a call out to those 4 members and say, hey, can we have a special meeting? So we can kind of get things going a little bit. Either way, he's gonna have to do and I gave him all the addresses, he's got to contact, he's gonna have to send letters out. He's gonna have to do public hearing and everything. Either way he goes on that. So it was a good productive meeting.
Good.
So, yeah. Let's see, after that, Todd Brenner, is he here tonight? No, okay. So I went back, luckily we had done one of these before, with Mr. Brad Simmons and Dax Foster, was it?
Yep.
Yeah. So I had most of the materials from that, had to go back through a couple different things. But it's a statutory process that they have to go through. So I've got everything here. What I will do is I'm going to, I think I've got his email address, I'm not sure. If I do, I'll send everything to him. It's a couple questions on there, and then I believe he's talked to his neighbor, what it sounds like, and because they both have to sign this.
Yeah.
In agreement on that. Luckily, this piece doesn't touch anybody else's property, so they don't have to do notification letters on there, but they do have to do a public hearing on that. So that's the process. And what it will be is the public hearing will just be like during your council session. You'll just take a break, do the public hearing real quick, and then you guys have to vote on it, sign paperwork on that for the ordinance to be passed. Then that has to go to the county to be recorded on there. It's pretty simple on that. So it wouldn't happen until then, the April meeting on that. So, and I'll go ahead and have him make sure that he gets that in 10 days prior. So
I believe the one alley's between his property and his property, right? Part of it. Isn't that because he owns the.
Is it more than one?
Well,
I thought it was just the one in between. Did he talk about?
I thought I talked about 2.
yeah.
Because his diagram he sent was very difficult to figure out, and I just figured it was the one that was between he and his neighbor to the south on there. I might clarify that with him just to make sure that that's the only one. Did he talk about doing?
We can get in the weeds.
Yeah, I was
on
going to
that
say, because there is another easement
Yeah.
between, and that's going to then make things work.
Yeah, no, I'm, okay. Well, we can look at the map afterward.
Okay.
Just make sure we're talking about the same.
Well, I'll contact
Yeah.
Todd and make sure
You're
what
on.
he wants to do on that. So, but yeah, so then I'll have the whole process for him, what he has to do on that. So, pretty easy. Okay, so that brings us back to Plan Commission members and BZA members. Like I said, Plan Commission, we have 4 out of 7. Plan Commission is an advisory body. So typically, if we have items. It would be something that, like I said, they're advisory, so what they do is they just advise you guys, and then town council makes that last decision. So whether or not, and I'll talk to Ariel about this more, whether or not if 3 of the 4 showed up during a session, if it's just a work session and we're not voting on something, then we're okay. It just comes to when we have to vote on something, you have to have a quorum, and that 4 is the quorum. BZA, if Mr. Myers decides to go and shrink his, he's still gonna have to go through the setback, but it's gonna go through BZA. Unfortunately, I don't think we can do this one just with you as the officer. It's gonna be a little bit too controversial because of the size and where it's located and all that. So we kind of need that 3rd person because that makes a quorum for BZA. And I think I sent you guys the spreadsheet that shows what type of member we need. With the BZA, it's all citizen members, so that's a good one. John's already a town employee on Plan Commission. One of the others has to be a town employee. Do you guys have any other?
Eric's on BZA, he's a town employee.
Yeah, okay. So, but I'm speaking Plan Commission though.
You're on it, right, as the board?
Yeah, because he's
as
a
a
town
board
council
member.
member. But one of the other slots is another employee, a town employee. Have we run out of town employees at this point?
One right here.
And there's a new one, there's a new one sitting
I'm not
behind
sure
you.
that-
I can do
that the treasurer
everything.
is on plan.
I made
I
a,
mean, I would check that out with Ariel, but I'm not sure.
As an elected
I
official.
made a list of, I kind of just went around.
I was gonna say, now where are you guys at on that?
Yeah, and so I made a wonderful list, and it's not with me. It's over
Okay.
probably on my workbench,
So
so
you're just kind of contacting people you know
we
in
haven't
town?
yet, but
or-
we need to start doing that.
Okay.
And there's a number of people here in town who'd be very capable, and
Okay.
we just have to reach out to them and say, hey,
Yeah, because we haven't yet had our kind of first meeting of the year,
Yeah.
and I think it might be best just to wait until if you guys get some new people in, and then we'll bring it to that first meeting.
Yeah.
I never heard back from that Cameron. You know what I'm talking about?
It's fine.
Karen
Sent you a
Chapman.
text.
Yeah.
And then, all the same stuff was coming up, and I didn't want to text him back without figuring out what was going on. And then when I did, I just never heard anything from him. So I don't know if it's still a possibility, or whether he didn't see it, or whether he's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I don't know if that was still on the table. Cameron Chapman, that was
Yeah.
the same. I don't know. So so just let me know where you're at with that, and as soon as you've got some people, then I'll go ahead and set up a meeting, hopefully for next month.
Okay.
We'll do that, get that going. The people from Crestline, they did contact me about 3 weeks after our meeting and asked for all the information from the MI development down there. And it seemed like when we were talking that they were very interested in that. And I did relay to them that I said the last I heard, the owner of the property kind of was not wanting to do anything after, I think, being kind of burnt a little bit from that. So I don't know whether, they might be talking to him or whatever, or whether they have, but they were also looking at, different areas through here. I don't know, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
It's just,
Did-
they were very excited. They said they've been looking at Liston for years now. So, and I'd never even heard of them.
So SFR is like single family residence?
They do.
Is that what that means?
They do kind of all of it. It looks like one of their main things. In fact, they did a neighborhood in Bloomington. Pictures of it. If you can go online and take a look at it. They were single family homes, but they were all rentals.
Kind of like this new one over in Brownsburg.
Mhm.
Oh, because I never heard of anything like that.
I was just curious if they had said what their preferred.
And they manage them as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but they do multifamily as well. So they had I gave them the comp plan and everything to look at. So we'll see what happens.
Glad there's some interest.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. So just, if we can get this BZA especially the BZA. I think, I would say first, just concentrate on that one to get a third person on there, because if Mr. Myers decides to do that, then we're gonna have a BZA meeting. We're gonna need 3 people. Preferably 4 or 5.
Okay.
But at least the 3.
Okay.
So.
I'll find my
And,
list.
I had Nicole order some tubes today, so I'm gonna come and get all this stuff cleared out.
I dare you.
I'm doing it. I'm looking at it too. So, but no,
Appreciate
so she's ordered some of those tubes, so get all those in there. I don't know with Lou, how long do you have to hold things like this? Do you have to? There's old plans
Well,
from,
that's Lou.
yeah, I mean.
What a jam.
Dan, I would
I
prefer,
mean, I was gonna say, because we haven't cleared back from Still Meadow.
yeah, but I prefer not to throw any away. I mean,
Okay.
given the size of our town, we'll figure out a storage solution. I just,
Okay.
again,
Yeah.
something
I was
somewhere.
just kind of curious, because I don't know if state law says anything about this,
No,
you
you-
know, and, the records and
No,
everything.
there isn't any state law. It's more your convenience and wanting to be able to access something.
Because remember when that, True Value was gonna go in? Well, I think it was the Crestline guy, because he's from Noblesville, and we were talking about that. He said, he goes, they even sold that. They're not even in the business anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was her father who ran everything. So that's like never gonna happen. And there's a lot of paper over there on that. So, but if you want to keep them, that's fine. All I have to do is roll them up. I'm gonna put them in
They,
tubes.
I guess,
Put 'em back
like,
there.
no, I'm just, don't want to get at really any sort of plans for the town, whether it's an old project or whatever, but I think like a failed development, maybe we keep one set for, hey, remember this, and the rest we chuck, so.
Okay, that's good. Oh, and I also did hear from Danny May.
Mhm.
And he was asking a few questions. He was asking about sewer capacity. And I said, we got plenty, don't worry about that. And so I think he might be ready to,
Good.
start to do his little development over there. In his list, he was still talking about maybe doing some residences, which would mean, and that's something he came with me and asked. He wanted to do offices, and then he wanted to do maybe some residences on the top, on the 2nd floor, which would be nice. I mean, especially rentals, the town could use some more rental properties.
Very good.
All right.
Good to see you, Dan.
That's all I had. Good to see you too.
You gonna leave?
All right.
Okay,
Thanks,
thanks,
Talk to
Dan.
you later.
Well, maintenance report, will, you want to introduce yourself to,
Sure, I'm Steve Simonek. I just got hired as a new maintenance man. I live about a mile southwest of town. I live in a house I grew up in. I've lived in this area pretty much all my life, except for the 4 years I was at Purdue, and I lived in Michigan for about 9 months, and outside of that, I lived in near Ladoga, in between Ladoga and New Ross for about 2.5 years, and moved back to Lisbon. So, good to meet everybody. I drove around a couple times after that heavy rain event we had, just kind of look at some streets and look at some drainage issues. I didn't really see much, I guess, really,
Yeah.
nothing really bad. Some standing water up there by the interstate, but, I just.
We blend that on
Did
in.
off last week, but, just kind of getting started, I think, so. Good to meet
Excellent.
Everybody.
Thank you. We need to get him email set up and then send him the form that Brad's been using for his monthly report.
Brad kind of did that on his own, but I can find one and
Okay.
give it to him. But yes, he already, did you get my email about taking Brad off?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, he's working on that email.
next topic is our technology, so that kind of led right into that.
Yeah, so Brad's account will be disabled now that we have somebody else to use that license. So Steve, I guess you set up maybe this evening. So we'll get that taken care of. We talked initially when TF West came on and started doing all the town's technology services about updating the website. That's on my project schedule for next quarter or 2nd quarter. So I will there's kind of a template that we use for towns that I'll get set up for you guys, and then, the four of you can view that, look at it, and see if you like it, don't like it, changes, additions, whatever. And then we'll work on, getting that published and made live. The only other thing I want to mention is all your prints. I did work with one other place where we digitize those, basically. I worked with a contracting company, and as part of the work they do, they have a giant scanner to scan prints that they get from, for bids and stuff, and I can give them scanned.
Sure.
So if that's something you're interested in, let me know.
Yeah.
And,
I would say it's a long goal. Let's get Dan finally back on organizing, purging, and then when we get kind of things for the record that we want to keep, and, you know.
absolutely. If, I mean, and it's, I'm saying you have to, you should, whatever I'm
Yeah.
saying. Here's the
No,
thing.
it's perfect
If
idea.
you don't want the paper or are worried about the building falling over and them getting damaged, destroyed, and you're not unique. Every town, one town has like cabinets where they slide in, that's an entire 20-foot long wall. And I told them, hey, we can digitize those. We like paper.
Yeah.
So if it's something you guys want to do, it's an option. Just let me know and I'll see if I can help you. That's all.
Okay, moving to old business. I didn't have any notes on anything, so anybody have any old business? When do banners get refreshed?
So they come out before Memorial Day.
Okay, so we got a little
I don't
bit.
know. I don't see who they get sent to, but you got one email, right?
She was supposed, I turned it over to my people. I'm out.
Yeah, they come out right for Memorial Day.
Okay,
You still have one. That down there.
Fire department, well, they should have already put it back up. But it's sent to the fire department.
okay, any new business? Okay, citizens' comments? Sheila, you?
have a citizen.
Introduce myself. I'm Sheila Zelensky. I'm running for Indiana House District 28 in the May primary. So going around to all the town councils in District 28. So wanted to be able to put names to faces and get to understand some of the local issues. So thank you for having me.
That's the only other citizen here, so. If that's everything, unless someone had something else come up, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll give you a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.